Hi guys, so I've got my Motorola GM350 here, so I'm going to try and get this thing on the air eventually. Now I've got more time to spare at the moment. So at the moment it's currently off and it's not really drawing anything in the way of quiescent current. Surprisingly, considering I think there's a microcontroller in there. Not sure, to be honest, because it isn't a clicky on-off power button. The power button is this little round thing down here. So at the moment, with it powered on with the squelch closed, it's saying 0.24 of an amp, 200, I think it's 240 milliamps off the top of my head. Somewhere in that region. So, with the squelch open, no signal, that goes up to 260, there or thereabouts. So, I don't transmit. I do have a monitor receiver on 70450, because that's channel 1, which is what that would come on by default anyway from power on. Testing 1, 2. Sorry about the feedback. There is obviously the monitor receiver, which I will turn down. That's my Yaesu FT2D, which is the only thing that receives on there. It's going into a dummy load, so it's not too critical. So about 4.24 amps. Power lead's protected by 7.5 amp fuse. That might be a wee bit too high. The 5 amp fuse may be better, but 5 amp might actually be pushing it with regards to inrush, which isn't actually reading on here. Nor is there any inrush reading on the... Actually, hang on. Let me just check that. Yeah, it kind of hits 5, but then drops back down to about 4.25. So, that's more or less what I'm getting there. With receive, no signal, squelch closed. Receive, no signal, squelch open. Receive is basically 0.24 to 0.26 and transmits about 4 adds an extra 4 amps to that, roughly. So, it's obviously putting out a decent amount of power. Be at 25 watts if I'm not too much mistaken, because PMR, taxi radios, those sorts were limited to about that, if I recall. So, I'll just pause the video and I'll plug the signal generator in and see if it actually receiving a signal makes any difference. Okay, so I've connected up the signal generator. Got 240 milliamps at the moment because there's no signal there. The signal generator is off. And I've got my little crib sheet that I use to work out what's what. So it was at negative 70, which according to the crib sheet is 70.9 microvolts. Can't check cyanide or anything today. I have a working cyanide meter at the moment, but that's not really too important for today. So I'll just turn the signal generator back on. We're now receiving a signal at about 280, 290 milliamps. It's just fluctuating between the two. So if I progressively make that signal weaker, it's actually quite sensitive because it's only started going weak now. It stays like that. There. It's just knocked the squelch out at negative 121, which is 0.2 of a microvolt. It'll bring it back in at negative 116 decibels, which is 0.355 microvolts. So any practical use would probably require me to do that. So on the Motorola GM350, that opens and closes the squelch. You can't adjust the squelch because there's no adjustment in the front of it because it is an XPMR, X-taxi radio, basically. So there's no squelch adjustment, you can't actually adjust that. So it's basically as it is, programmed, 4 channels, squelch, open and close volume, and that's your on and off button. And there's a set of lights here. I don't know what the third one does, because it's never done anything. I know what the middle one is, it just tells you the power's on. and the first one transmit and receive. So, quite a simple radio, works on 4 meters, so I'm going to get myself on the air on 4 at some point, and I'll be doing some video of that as well, because I've not actually been on 4 yet, but I'm planning on it. So there you go. Anyway, just a little one, not one of my main ones, so this is going straight out to you guys, and hopefully I'll be on 4 meters at some point, and if you hear me calling, just, come back to me and, well, we'll pick one of the other 3 channels this radio can do, because that's the one I'm limited to at the moment with this. So, step 3's for now. I'll catch you maybe on the air on 4 meters, or if not, in the next video. I was supposed to be at the National Ham Fest this weekend, but unfortunately it turns out I didn't have enough money for petrol. So, a bit of a shame really. So, I'll get myself on 4 meters, hopefully, in the coming days. 7-3 for now, guys.